Hello, 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 world. It's your girl, Elise Black, and I am coming back with my recap of the most boringest episode I've ever seen on Love and Marriage Huntsville in history. It was season 10, episode 3. This will not be long at all, guys. This will not be a 30-minute video. I'm going to try to keep this really simple in under 20 minutes. I'm going to go over those scenes for you. If you have already watched the full episode that I loaded for you, that's great. If not, just click on it so I can get some views. I'm trying to make some things happen on my channel. But again, let's jump into this Love and Marriage Huntsville recap. Again, to me, this was the most boringest episode I have ever seen. Before we get started, don't forget this is for entertainment purposes only. For laughs and giggles, and everything that I'm stating is alleged. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Please subscribe and hit that like button. Share it with a friend. All right, let's jump into it. So scene 1 starts with Ken, Trisha, and Marquez. And what I'm going to do for this video only is I'm going to read my notes that I took as I watched it. One thing I want y'all to notice is, do you see how when they jump right into the scene where Marquez and Ken have a scuffle, do you see how Marquez's son goes to get him? And, he pushes away. And I was talking about how it's very hard to watch this family interact because of, for me, it's just volatile. And I'm pretty sure it was more than a tussle match, as Trisha later talks about it to the ladies. I really believe they put hands on each other, but this cannot be good for the children that are involved. And what we see is Trisha is clearly enjoying this. If you look at this first scene, I feel like she's enjoying it. There is no compassion. Either she never loved this man or she still loves the man and he did her wrong and she's hurt. But scene 1, again, was one of them hard watches. And I'm going to move on because I told y'all this video is going to be short. Scene 2, this is just for my people who have not watched it and they need a recap of what's going on. Probably won't watch it. I'm sorry about this recap being so late. I try to put my recaps on Mondays or Tuesdays, but I've been working. So scene 2 is with Kimmy. She invites the ladies out to catch up. I'm sorry. It actually does not start with her inviting the ladies to catch up. Scene 2 is actually her and Maurice. It's their date night. And Kimmy begins to discuss Jalen, okay? She stated that Jalen wasn't interested in doing the family business. And we know that Jalen is Kimmy's son, okay, from her first marriage or whatever relationship. Kimmy said Maurice, in Jalen's opinion, is a dictator. And he talks and does not work. That's what Jalen stated. So Jalen is stating that Maurice is a dictator and he doesn't do any work. He does nothing but talk. And that's one of the reasons why Jalen doesn't really want to work for the family business. Jalen stated that Maurice never made him feel like a son. He looked up to Marceau as a father figure. He also states he hates that he had this impact on him. We're talking about Maurice. He hates that he had this impact on Jalen. Kimmy states that he's not really hands-on as a parent, but of course, Jalen felt he was treated differently because he isn't his biological son. But for me, you got to love them all the same. I am a mother of kids who are not my biologicals, and they don't even know it. Moving on to scene 3. In scene 3, it's called The Fletchers, pretty much. Mel is speaking with Chris about getting a quality star for her daycare. Okay, she has a daycare. And she states if they can get, what is called a quality star, more stars, they'll get more money to meet the quality star requirements. So if they are able to get what they call quality stars, they can get more money for their businesses. So let's talk about the Fletchers, because when we talk about Black people doing things on the show, with the show is supposed to be focused around successful Black people. Again, this was mentioned about, 2 seasons ago, that the Fletchers were the couple on the show, I think, that had the most money. That's because they have all these businesses they have invested in, which got them to this level. So the Fletchers, we already know they have a daycare, but they also have a cleaning business And then, of course, we know that Chris is into real estate. So they are absolutely gainfully employed. And I really wish that there had been more focused on them as entrepreneurs and how they did it from the very beginning. Because I do know that they felt the Steels and other members of the cast was like downing their, the fact that she had a daycare and it's still a business that's successful while other businesses, have fell along the wayside. Like, is Black even open? Things of that nature. So I really felt like we should have highlighted more of what the Fletchers were doing earlier on and made it extremely significant for viewers. Nell in this scene also states she doesn't speak with the ladies as much. And here's the thing. I feel like that's because Melody was the thread between Nell and everybody else. She was Melody's friend. And I do feel like she has been left on an island by herself. I'm happy that she did her interview in her real hair with no wig and freckles to put it on the line that I'm not fooling with Ariana Carey. I think there was a lot being said about people feeling like Nell wasn't a real friend to Melody or whatever. I have my own opinion about that. I think friendships go both ways. I feel like they have to talk and communicate. And I feel like she had her back. I really do feel like Nell had her back. They just had some disagreements they couldn't get past. And I think it all revolved around the stuff with the group. But I do feel like Nell is on an island by herself this season. I feel they're going to come and attack her, as I've stated earlier. And it could be some jealousy there because she was able to be transparent, her and her husband, about, the affairs in their marriage, and they made it. They stayed together. The difference with these other people, Melanie chose to leave after 5 years of the affair, okay? These people have decided to not even recognize there is an affair and call everybody else liars and stay. And I think that's why they are jealous of the Fletchers, because the Fletchers have been transparent and they actually have a marriage that can actually make it after fidelity. And I don't feel that those other marriages could or can. And that's why they are so upset with the Fletchers and don't want to give credit where credit is due. I also think it's very disrespectful because they want to call her old all the time. Well, if she's your elder, quit treating her like she's underneath your foot. And then, of course, Nell can get aggressive and go off the handle, and she has her areas where she's wrong too. But right now, I haven't seen any wrong this season, okay? Nell stated that Destiny called, and she thinks she's missing her right now because, Destiny stated that she needed to reevaluate their relationship after Nell invited Moses' new wife to the event. And she had issue with that. So she felt that she needed to evaluate their friendship. We find out in this episode that Nell states, hell, I need to evaluate the friendship as well. And so what I'm not understanding is why Destiny is talking, trash about Nell holding up and supporting her son. That is her son. She don't have to ever tell you if there's if he has a girlfriend or a baby on the side, any of that, because number one, she didn't even see you as a virtuous woman for her son. I don't ever think she did. I don't ever think she wanted you with her son. So for that, I think they're real stupid as far as Tisha making comments that we will get to see a little bit earlier about Nell defending her son, which is coming up in this next scene, which is scene 4. Scene 4 is going to be Kimmy, Nell, Letitia, and Trisha. Okay, these ladies meet to try to form a bond and to get to know each other better because, of course, they don't know each other. Melody was the glue. Trisha states that they are not transparent as a friend group. And in my mind, she just got to the friend group and she has not been transparent about her and Martell. So I just think she's be quiet, take a back seat. Trisha tells the ladies what happened at her house with the big confrontation with Marquez and Ken. But again, she tells lies. She doesn't tell the whole truth. She makes like Marquez is the instigator all the time and everything that he does. You don't have to fight when someone is getting on your nerves. You don't have to get all aggressive. So I feel like if he's an annoying child, treat him how you would treat a child and not like you would treat a criminal in the street. Like that's how they were treating him, Then during this meeting, Kimmy also shares what Jalen feels. Kimmy states Maurice, as I told you earlier, is hands off. So she talks about with the ladies, which, that there is a divide between her son and her husband, and that she has seen it as well. Letitia states that Jalen didn't embrace Maurice. Okay. He even states that a little bit, that the reason why he didn't embrace Maurice is because he didn't want to build up his hope and then something not work out. And I really feel like he was right for that, because the man was not engaging him. And I really feel like it should also be the parent who is trying to embrace their child and make their child feel comfortable in knowing that, yes, even though I am your bonus parent, I can be just that to you, a bonus, and not where there is some level of a distance between the relationship and the kid grows up feeling like they're really not loved. Because, of course, Jalen ain't going to get all into it about how he's really feeling. In this scene as well, Nell tells her side of her son's affair. He says the woman that he is having a baby with, or had a baby with, they've had an affair on and off for 5 years. They've been, around each other. Nell also recapped that she has 2 grandkids that took a toll on her. I don't know how the 2 grandkids took a toll on her, because she's not having to keep them, so I didn't understand that statement. Tisha has, let me see I'm sorry, y'all. So Tisha starts to come at Nell about some information concerning her son. And of course she was being messy, and she had it all wrong as usual. And Nell states Tisha had a lot of questions for her concerning her life. So what Nell decides to do is, in this very scene, she brings up the interview that Martell and AC did with the side chick. And so after Tisha has tried to comfort Nell and ask her all these questions about her son, and she made a statement. Because, when I heard the news, I feel like Nell had Destiny out there with a son, knowing that he had a baby on the way. I was like, I don't know about Miss Nell. So she goes on to say she don't know about Miss Nell, all this different stuff in front of Nell's face. And I just felt like she was just being so rude to this woman, so disrespectful. But I like how Nell slid right back in her DMs right there in front of her. She said, so how do you feel about the interview? And of course, Trisha was like all ganged up to hear about how did she feel too. And if y'all could see Tisha's face, because I want y'all to see this. I'm gonna make sure I put this in a video. How she looked, she did not want to answer that. She's not transparent. She's full of it. And then she flips the question and says, well, how do you feel about it? That's a level of deflection I've never seen in my life. And I wish Melanie was on the show, because Tisha don't ever act like this, okay? I wish Melanie was on the show to shut her down right there in that very moment. So I just felt like it was deflection. I felt like she was a stupid little hoe at that point. Trista stated that she thought the video was ghetto, and in my mind, I'm like, I think you are too. Kimmy said she was insulted by the side chick, and then Kimmy goes on to say that she didn't watch the whole video. Tisha said she didn't, which I know they lying, because they all addressed it in the recap with their own little personal interviews, Tisha and her husband. But she goes on to say her husband wouldn't be sleeping with that. She called the girl a that. Honestly, I didn't see no wrong with the girl. But if they got a problem with weight, they need to understand they men don't see weight on pussy. Okay? They don't see that. All right? They don't see weight on a pussy. So, whatever. Most of the time, the women they playing out with, you can't believe anyway. Because I know when my first husband slept with, I was like, nigga, what? She like roadkill. But they'll do it. Okay? Bitch was ugly as fuck. She either like Aunt Esther and Rocky. What was it? Like Aunt Esther and Bowinkle got together and had the woman that my husband played off with. And that is no lie. I've always said she like Bowinkle and Aunt Esther got together and had a baby. But he slept with that hoe and had a baby with her. And that's why I left him. Because I told you guys my first marriage, which was 25 years ago, it was so similar to what Melody went through. I was an educator and I was married to this man, and he had a whole life behind my back, and he had a whole baby, okay? And we never had our baby together. So I was just like, this piece of shit ass nigga. So yeah, and he in the whole looked like she was drugged from under the ground to his bed. Well, he fucked it up several times. So anyway, so much for that. So anyway, so Kimmy is insulted by what the girls look like any damn way. Let me see what else on that. I just felt that Tisha was out of line. She feels like she can bring up what she wants to bring up, but nobody else can. But now let her ass have it. What else I want to tell y'all? Letitia then brings up the statement that Chris made about Chris stating that Maurice or Marceau are the ones who require a woman to have an NDA, a non-disclosure. And pretty much Nell says she's going to support her husband and that pretty much she can't control what comes out of his mouth. All right. Moving on to scene 5. This is Jalen and Maurice. This is the conversation that they had. And the conversation was about the relationship that he had with him coming up. For me, it was quite concerning. The way he felt and how he had to feel all this time. He then goes on to state he's thinking about moving to Colorado. When someone is up and doing something like this, moving away from families, because whatever has happened prior, they are affected by it and they are running from it, trying to get away from it. Just like when Jalen stated, he was very hesitant to do the family business. And he just told them he understands how the Scotts are. And he said the Scotts, they're not going to step in. He said, but they'll be blamed for everything, And he stated, pretty much your son will not be the blame. It'll be on him. So he decided he did not want to have anything to do with this. And then scene 6, which y'all ain't even gonna lie. I honestly did not watch this scene. Okay. I walked out the room a few times. But it's Ken and Fletcher and one of Ken's homeboys, which I think is one of Fletcher's godsons, talking about the Marquez, Ken, and Trisha situation. And, just men talking about it. One thing that I did catch when they were giving advice, his friend told him Trisha would have been a thing of the past a long time ago. He states it to Ken. Oh, girl, I would have left old girl a long time ago. So that much I did gather from this scene, because I know y'all probably not too interested anyway, that he was told that she would have been a thing of the past a long, long, long time ago. All right. And then the last scene was Kim, Letitia, Maurice, and Marceau. They're all having dinner, and they're still talking about the Jalen situation. So this show was kind of like the Jalen show. And his concerns as far as what was going on. That's not what made the show boring at all. Not because we were talking about Jalen. It was just a very boring show. And not because it wasn't drama-filled, because I get sick of that drama. Just because it was just so uninteresting to me, because the way the show started originally. And I swear this will go down in the books as the weakest show, in my opinion, that they have ever aired. Which is why my caption reads this. This is the most boringest, weakest show that Love and Marriage Huntsville has ever put out. And again, the dinner was just talking about the whole Jalen situation and how, he doesn't view Maurice as a father figure. He views Marceau as that. And Tisha says that, yes, he is considered like their play son or whatever. And you can tell on Kimmy's face that all this time she has never been in agreement with how this man treated her son. But yet and still, she did nothing, obviously, because this baby trying to go to Colorado. All right, guys, that's it. I told you it's going to get a quick recap, okay? I know it's late. I will do better, y'all. I started back working. The summer's up, so I had to get back on the grind. So, yeah, a lot going on. Single mama, the whole 9. But anyway, please, guys, share, comment, like, and subscribe. If you haven't watched one of the videos, go watch it to help a girl, okay? Just click on it. You know what I mean? Click on it a little bit. Give me some views, okay? It's been your girl, Elise Black. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Until next time, have a good one.